get this. Um, there's a nation that's well known for being kind of hesitant about foreign investment.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're suddenly like, hey, come on in.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Yeah, it really is.
And not just for them, but potentially for everybody, the whole global economy.
It's true. And what's really fascinating here, it's not just like a simple policy change, about economics.
Right.
It speaks to something, I think, much deeper.
Yeah.
A kind of struggle that a lot of developing nations face, this balance they're trying to strike between protecting their own industries, but also like needing to compete out there on the global stage.
Exactly. And the country we're focusing on today is Ethiopia.
Okay.
Now, everybody knows Ethiopia, right? Famous for its coffee.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they've also been known for, well, keeping a pretty tight lid on things when it comes to foreign investment, at least in a lot of key sectors.
Yeah, for decades now,
Right.
Ethiopian policies have basically prioritized their domestic businesses, made it really very challenging for foreign companies to, like, even get a foothold.
Right.
It's been very inward-looking, you could say.
But then something kind of major happened in April 2024.
Okay.
They issued this new directive number 101/2024, if you want to get specific.
Right.
And this isn't, just some minor adjustment. This is a full-on policy reversal.
Wow.
It's like somebody flipped a switch.
That does raise a big question, though.
Yeah.
Why the sudden change? Right. Why now?
Right.
Well, it seems like the old policies, the ones meant to help domestic growth, they weren't quite working out as planned.
Right. Right.
The economy was hitting some roadblocks.
Interesting.
And it's possible that things like maybe unfair competition or practices that kind of stifled growth might have played a part.
So are they basically saying like, okay, everybody, come on in, invest in Ethiopia?
Well, not exactly. It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
This new directive, it definitely signals they're ready to engage more globally. But they're being very calculated. It's not like they're abandoning everything they did before.
Right. So more like dipping their toes in the water rather than like a full cannonball.
Precisely. They're being very strategic about it.
Okay.
Ethiopia is setting up, preconditions, criteria, all these things for foreign investors. And it's all about attracting the right kind of investment, the serious players.
Gotcha. So not just anybody.
Right, exactly.
They want people who are going to be around for a while.
Long-term commitment, that's the key.
And it seems like the world is paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from what we've gathered, 71 international companies have already expressed interest.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, so they're definitely turning heads.
And that's not surprising. There's real potential here. If you look back, similar reforms they made a few years ago attracted something like $2.5 billion in investments.
Wow.
So there's a track record here.
Okay, so we've set the stage.
We have.
Big changes are happening in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
But let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay, let's do it.
What does this new directive actually mean for foreign investors? What's on the table? What are the specific opportunities? So let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
What are some of the nitty-gritty sectors where foreign investors can actually get in on the action in Ethiopia?
Right. So, well, Ethiopia is really well known for its exports, especially when it comes to agriculture.
Makes sense.
We're talking, of course, coffee. That's a big one.
Obviously, yeah.
But there's also things like khat.
Right.
Which, is that stimulant plant. Traditionally, people in East Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, they use it.
Yeah, interesting.
And oil seeds, too, for cooking oils and all that.
Right. Those are all things that Ethiopia's, already got a good thing going with, right?
Exactly. They've already got a foothold, and they're looking to expand even more globally.
So it's like they're saying, hey, world, you like our coffee. We got more. Come help us share it.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's not like a free-for-all.
Right. There's strategy involved here.
Right.
To get a piece of these export markets, foreign investors, they got to show they're serious about Ethiopia. It's not just about taking the coffee and running,
Right. A proven track record.
Exactly. Investing in Ethiopia, sourcing from there, showing that commitment.
So no quick in-and-out deals.
No, they're looking for partners, people who'll be around.
Long-term players. I like it. Okay, so that's exports. What about stuff coming into Ethiopia? Any changes on imports?
Absolutely. This is big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the new directive, it really opens up imports, like way more than before. It's a huge shift.
So are we talking like open season on bringing goods into Ethiopia now?
Well, almost.
All
There's
right.
a couple exceptions, like fertilizers, petroleum, that kind of thing.
Okay, so the essentials, the really important stuff.
Yeah, strategic resources, they're playing it a bit safer with those.
Makes sense. Can't just let those go completely wild.
Yeah.
But for everything else, it seems like green light.
It's not totally a free-for-all.
Right, right. There's always rules.
Exactly. They're encouraging imports, but there's still, like, a framework.
I gotcha.
For instance, if a foreign company, they're not actually making stuff abroad, not manufacturing.
Okay, so they're not just like a middleman.
Right. Then they've got to import a certain amount, at least $10 million worth of goods, to keep their import license.
Oh, wow. So the stakes are higher than just like a small-time operation.
They want to see some serious volume.
Interesting. Okay, so they're not messing around. They want real commitment.
Commitment is key, yeah.
Okay, so we've covered exports, imports. What about actually setting up shop and Ethiopia, wholesale, retail, that sort of thing? Can foreign businesses do that now?
They can. That's another area that used to be pretty closed off. But this new directive, it's like they're saying, come on in, let's see what you got.
Wow. So we could see like international stores popping up in Addis Ababa?
It's definitely possible.
That's wild.
Again, there are some criteria, benchmarks they got to hit.
So not as simple as just like renting a storefront and you're good to go.
No, they might need to invest in infrastructure, open multiple locations, maybe source some stuff locally.
So it's all about making sure they're really invested in Ethiopia, not just looking for a quick buck.
Exactly. Responsible, sustainable investment. That's the goal here. Something that benefits everybody.
That fits both the foreign companies and, of course, the Ethiopian people.
Precisely. It's a balancing act, that's for sure.
It sounds like it, trying to get all those different interests to line up.
Definitely a challenge and really interesting to watch how it plays out.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what happens. Okay, so we've talked about like what's changing, the nuts and bolts of this new directive.
Right.
But now I'm curious about the why. Like, what's the bigger picture here? Why would Ethiopia make such a big change? Like, what's the thinking behind it?
It's a good question, and it's more than just, we want foreign investment. It goes deeper than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's about fixing some stuff that's been holding them back,
You mean like those unfair practices, the lack of competition we talked about earlier?
Exactly. For a long time, it's like certain parts of the Ethiopian economy, they haven't had a level playing field. And this new directive, it's kind of like shaking things up.
So hit the reset button, get some fresh air in there.
Exactly. More competition, more innovation. Things can start moving faster, more efficiently.
And that's good for everybody, right? Like businesses, consumers, the whole economy in Ethiopia.
That's the idea. Yeah. With more competition, you get better stuff, better prices. Everybody wins.
So it's a win-win, right? Foreign investors get new opportunities. Ethiopian consumers get better products. Everybody's happy.
Well, that's the hope, the goal at least. But, it's not without its risks, right? It's a calculated risk for sure.
Oh, yeah. Like, what could go wrong? What are we talking about here?
Well, one thing is, all these foreign companies coming in, it could be tough on local businesses, the ones who aren't used to that kind of competition.
Right. They might not be ready for that.
Exactly. They could get pushed out, lose market share if they can't keep up.
So it's a balance, right? Trying to bring in the good stuff from outside without hurting what's already there.
Exactly. It's a tightrope walk for sure. And then there's the whole, logistical side of things.
Oh, right. Making sure everything actually works.
Right. Can Ethiopia handle all these new markets? Can they keep things fair? Ethical? That's a lot to manage.
Yeah, that's a tall order, but it seems like they're going for it, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. It shows a real commitment to change, embracing new ideas, even if it's a little scary.
So what does all this mean for the folks listening? Why should they care about what's happening over in Ethiopia?
Well, for one, it's like a crash course in how economies grow, the challenges they're facing, the choices they make, that's happening all over the world. And there are definitely lessons to be learned here.
So it's not just about Ethiopia. It's about bigger trends, bigger questions.
Absolutely. Plus, it reminds us that the world's always changing. And what one country does can affect us all.
Like a ripple effect, huh?
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that there's no easy answers when it comes to, growing the economy while still being responsible. You got to weigh the good and the bad.
And each country has to decide what's right for them.
Exactly. What trade-offs are willing to make. It's all a balancing act.
So Ethiopia is kind of at a crossroads facing a future that's like both exciting and uncertain.
Exactly. This new directive, it's just the first step on a long road.
It's going to be fascinating to see where they go from here.
Absolutely. Will they find that balance? Only time will tell.
And that, my friends, is why we deep dive.
Yeah.
Stay curious.